William had always been a careful man. At 42 years old, he lived a quiet life in the suburbs of Manchester with his wife, Kate. They had been married for 15 years, and while they never had children of their own, they found joy in their simple routines. William worked as an accountant at a local firm while Kate taught primary school children. Their lives were predictable, comfortable, and peaceful. Every morning, William would wake up at 6:30 sharp, make tea for Kate, and read the newspaper before heading to work. Kate would leave shortly after, her arms full of marking and lesson plans. They would meet again in the evening, sharing stories about their day over dinner. Weekends were spent gardening, visiting Kate's elderly mother, or taking long walks through the nearby countryside. Their house on Maple Street was modest, but well-maintained. William took pride in keeping the garden neat and the fence painted. The neighbors often commented on how lovely their property looked, especially the rose bushes that Kate had planted along the front walkway. It was the kind of life that many people dream of, steady, reliable, and filled with small contentments. But on this particular Tuesday morning in October, something felt different. William woke up earlier than usual around 5:30, with an uneasy feeling in his stomach. He couldn't explain it, but there was a tension in the air that he had never felt before. Kate was still sleeping peacefully beside him, her brown hair spread across the pillow. He decided not to wake her and quietly made his way downstairs to start the tea. As he stood in the kitchen waiting for the kettle to boil, William noticed something odd. The back door, which he always locked before bed, was slightly ajar. A cold breeze was flowing through the gap, making the curtains flutter. His heart began to beat faster. He was certain he had locked that door the night before. It was part of his routine, something he never forgot. William approached the door cautiously. Perhaps the latch hadn't caught properly, or maybe the wind had somehow blown it open. But as he got closer, he could see that the lock mechanism had been damaged. There were small scratches around the keyhole, and the wood frame showed signs of forced entry. Someone had broken into their home during the night. His hands trembling slightly, William checked the kitchen and dining room. Nothing seemed to be missing. The television was still there. Kate's jewelry box sat undisturbed on the hallway table, and his laptop remained on the desk in the living room. This confused him even more. If someone had broken in, why hadn't they taken anything valuable? He decided to check the rest of the house before waking Kate. Perhaps whoever had entered had simply been looking for an easy target and left when they realized people were home. William climbed the stairs quietly, checking each room as he went. The spare bedroom looked normal, as did the bathroom. But when he reached the small room at the end of the hall, the room they used for storage, he noticed the door was closed. This struck him as strange because they rarely closed that door. It usually stood open, revealing boxes of old books, seasonal decorations, and Kate's collection of craft supplies. William had no reason to close it, and neither did Kate. With growing unease, he turned the handle and pushed the door open. What he saw inside made his breath catch in his throat. Someone was there, a young girl, maybe 12 or 13 years old, curled up in the corner behind a stack of boxes. She was wearing torn jeans and a dirty sweater, and her dark hair was matted and unkempt. She looked up at William with wide, frightened eyes, like a trapped animal. For a moment, neither of them moved. William's mind raced as he tried to process what he was seeing. This wasn't a burglar, this was a child, and she was clearly terrified. Her thin frame suggested she hadn't eaten properly in days, and there were dark circles under her eyes that spoke of exhaustion and fear. "Please don't hurt me," the girl whispered, pressing herself further into the corner. Her voice was small and hoarse, barely audible above the sound of William's pounding heart. William raised his hands slowly, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "What's your name? How did you get in here?" The girl didn't answer immediately. She studied William's face, perhaps trying to determine whether she could trust him. Finally, she spoke again, her voice still barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, I was so cold and hungry. I saw your lights were off and thought no one was home. I just needed somewhere warm to sleep." William felt his heart breaking. This child, for she was clearly still a child despite her circumstances, had broken into their home not to steal, but simply to find shelter. The careful scratches around the door lock suddenly made sense. She had been trying to be quiet, trying not to disturb anyone. "Where are your parents?" William asked gently, crouching down to her level but maintaining a safe distance so she wouldn't feel trapped. The girl's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know," she said. "I've been looking for them for weeks. The police said they would help, but then they wanted to put me in a home, so I ran away. I've been sleeping in different places, trying to stay warm." William's mind was spinning. He thought about Kate sleeping upstairs, unaware of what was happening. He thought about their quiet, ordered life, and how this moment was about to change everything. But mostly he thought about this frightened child who had been living on the streets, desperate enough to break into a stranger's home just to escape the cold. "What's your name?" he asked again, his voice even gentler than before. "Emma," the girl replied, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. "Emma Patterson." William nodded slowly. "Emma, I'm William. I live here with my wife, Kate. We're going to help you, okay? But first I need to wake Kate up and let her know what's happening. Will you stay right here? I promise we won't hurt you, and we won't call the police unless you want us to." Emma looked uncertain, but she nodded. William could see that she was exhausted and probably didn't have the energy to run even if she wanted to. As he stood up to go wake Kate, he realized that their quiet, predictable life was about to become something entirely different. But looking at Emma's frightened face, he knew they couldn't turn away from this child who so desperately needed help. William's heart was pounding as he made his way back to the bedroom. How do you wake your wife to tell her that a homeless child has broken into your house and is hiding in the storage room? He had always been good at handling problems at work. Numbers made sense, accounts balanced, everything had a logical solution. But this was completely outside his experience. Kate was still sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that their world had just shifted. William sat gently on the edge of the bed and touched her shoulder. "Kate," he whispered. "Kate, I need you to wake up. Something has happened." Kate stirred and opened her eyes, immediately sensing the urgency in William's voice. After 15 years of marriage, she could read his moods like a book. "What's wrong?" she asked, sitting up quickly. "Are you feeling sick? Is everything all right?" "There's a child in our house," William said quietly. "A young girl. She broke in last night looking for somewhere warm to sleep." Kate blinked several times, trying to process what her husband had just told her. "A child? What do you mean, a child? Where are her parents?" William explained everything he had discovered. The damaged door lock finding Emma in the storage room, her explanation about being separated from her parents and living on the streets. Kate listened with growing concern, her teacher instincts immediately kicking in. She had worked with troubled children before, kids who came to school hungry or wearing the same clothes day after day. But she had never encountered a situation like this. "She's just a baby," Kate whispered, her eyes filling with tears. 12 or 13, you said? William, she could have frozen to death out there. The temperatures have been dropping below freezing at night. They both knew that winter was coming early this year. The weather reports had been warning about an unusually cold October, with frost already appearing on car windshields in the mornings. The thought of a young girl trying to survive outdoors in these conditions was heartbreaking. "What should we do?" Kate asked. "We have to help her, but we also need to be careful. There might be people looking for her. What if someone thinks we've kidnapped her?" William had been thinking the same thing. They were in a delicate situation. Emma was clearly in need of help, but they also had to protect themselves and make sure they handled everything properly. "I told her we wouldn't call the police unless she wanted us to," he said. "Maybe we can start by just talking to her, finding out more about her situation." Kate nodded and quickly got dressed. As they made their way downstairs, she whispered, "What's her name again?" "Emma. Emma Patterson." They found Emma exactly where William had left her, still curled up in the corner of the storage room. If anything, she looked even smaller and more frightened than before. When she saw Kate, her eyes widened with fresh fear. "This is my wife, Kate. William said softly. She's a teacher. She works with children your age. Kate knelt down slowly, her voice gentle and warm. Hello, Emma. William told me a little about your situation. We want to help you if we can. Are you hurt anywhere? When did you last eat? Emma looked between William and Kate, trying to decide whether she could trust these strangers. Kate's kind face and gentle manner seemed to reassure her slightly. I found some food in a bin behind a restaurant yesterday, Emma said quietly, but I was sick afterward. I think it was old. Kate felt her heart breaking. As a teacher, she had always been able to go home at the end of the day knowing that her students would return to warm houses and hot dinners. The thought of any child eating spoiled food from garbage bins was almost unbearable. Emma, would you like to come downstairs with us? Kate asked. I could make you some breakfast, some toast and tea. Nothing that would upset your stomach. Emma hesitated for a long moment, then nodded slowly. With great effort, she pushed herself up from the floor. William and Kate could see how weak she was. Her legs seemed unsteady, and she had to lean against the wall for support. They made their way downstairs slowly, with Kate staying close to Emma in case she needed help. In the kitchen, Kate began, preparing a simple meal while William repaired the damaged door lock. He wanted to make sure Emma felt safe and secure, not trapped, but also that their home was secure again. As Kate worked, she talked quietly to Emma, asking gentle questions about her situation. Through careful conversation, they learned that Emma's parents had been in a car accident 6 weeks earlier. She had been staying with a family friend while her parents were in the hospital, but when both parents died from their injuries, the friend had contacted social services. They wanted to put me in a children's home, Emma explained, accepting a cup of warm tea gratefully. But I heard other kids talking about what those places are like. Some of them are okay, but others. She shuddered. I thought if I could just find my Aunt Sarah, she would take me in. My mom always said that Aunt Sarah loved me like her own daughter. Where does your aunt live? Kate asked gently. I think somewhere near Liverpool, Emma said. But I don't have her address or phone number. My parents kept all that information on their computer, and I don't know how to get to it. William and Kate exchanged glances. Liverpool was about 30 miles away. Not impossibly far, but Emma had been searching for weeks without success. A 12-year-old girl trying to navigate the adult world alone, looking for someone whose exact location she didn't even know. Emma, Kate said carefully, we understand why you ran away from social services, but they have resources that might help you find your aunt. They would have ways to locate her that you couldn't manage on your own. Emma's face immediately closed off. No, she said firmly. I won't go back to them. They'll put me in a home and I'll never see my aunt. At least out here I can keep looking. William could see the determination in the young girl's eyes. She had been surviving on her own for weeks, which showed incredible strength and resourcefulness. But she was also clearly exhausted, malnourished, and emotionally traumatized. The combination of losing her parents and living on the streets was taking its toll. What if there was another way? William asked quietly. What if we could help? You find your aunt without involving social services right away. Emma looked at him suspiciously. How? Well, I work with computers and records, William said. I might be able to help you search for information about your aunt. And Kate has connections through the school system. Sometimes teachers know people in different areas. But, Kate added gently, we would need you to be completely honest with us. Tell us everything you can remember about your aunt, her full name, where she might work, anything your parents said about her. And Emma, if we're going to help you, you need to stay here with us where it's safe and warm. No more sleeping rough. Emma considered this carefully. The warm kitchen, the hot tea, and these kind strangers offering help were more than she had dared hope for when she had broken into their house the night before. She was tired of being cold, tired of being hungry, and tired of being afraid. Okay, she said finally. I'll tell you everything I can remember. But if you try to hand me over to social services, I'll run away again. I promise you I will. William and Kate nodded. They were taking a huge risk, but looking at this brave, frightened child, they knew they couldn't turn her away. Their quiet, predictable life was about to become much more complicated. But some things were more important than routine and comfort. Over the next 3 days, Emma slowly began to trust William and Kate. They set up the spare bedroom for her, and Kate took time off work to help her settle in. Emma was hesitant at first, jumping at sudden noises and always keeping her distance from the windows, as if she expected someone to find her at any moment. But gradually, she began to relax. During quiet conversations over meals, Emma shared more details about her life. Her parents, David and Margaret Patterson, had run a small bakery in a town called Whitfield, about 50 miles away. They had been returning from a late evening delivery when their car was hit by a drunk driver. Emma had been staying with Mrs. Morrison, an elderly woman who helped at the bakery when the accident happened. Mrs. Morrison was nice, Emma explained, picking at her lunch. But she's very old and she got scared when the social workers came. She said she couldn't take care of me permanently because of her health. That's when they started talking about children's homes. Emma remembered that her Aunt Sarah was her mother's younger sister. Sarah had visited them several times when Emma was younger, always bringing presents and telling funny stories about her job as a nurse. Mum said that Aunt Sarah worked at a big hospital near Liverpool, but I can't remember which one, Emma said. And I think she might have gotten married a few years ago, so her last name might be different now. William spent hours on his computer, each evening, searching through online directories, hospital staff listings, and social media profiles. The challenge was that Sarah was a common name, and without knowing her married name or the exact hospital, finding the right person seemed almost impossible. Kate, meanwhile, focused on helping Emma recover from her weeks on the street. The girl was severely underweight and her clothes were worn thin. Kate took her shopping for new clothes and basic necessities, using the story that Emma was a distant relative visiting for an extended stay. Emma was amazed by simple things: a hot shower whenever she wanted one, a warm bed with clean sheets, and regular meals. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find myself back under that bridge, Emma confided to Kate one evening as they watched television together. This feels too good to be real. Kate felt tears sting her eyes. She had always regretted that she and William never had children of their own. Medical problems early in their marriage had made pregnancy impossible, and by the time they considered adoption, they had settled into their quiet life together. But having Emma in the house awakened something in Kate that she had thought was buried forever. On the 4th day, William made a breakthrough. While searching through archived newspaper articles about hospital staff achievements, he found a mention of a Sarah Patterson, who had been promoted to head nurse in the children's ward at Royal Liverpool Hospital 3 years earlier. The article mentioned that she was originally from Whitfield, the same town where Emma's parents had lived. "I think I found her," William announced excitedly when Kate and Emma returned from a walk in the nearby park. Sarah Patterson, head nurse at Royal Liverpool Hospital. The article says she grew up in Whitfield. Emma's face lit up with hope for the first time since they had found her. That has to be her. Aunt Sarah always said she wanted to work with sick children, and she did grow up in Whitfield with my mum. William had already looked up the hospital's contact information. "The article is 3 years old, so we need to make sure she still works there," he said. "Tomorrow morning I'll call the hospital and see if I can speak to her." That night, Emma was too excited to sleep. She paced around her room, then came downstairs to where William and Kate were sitting in the living room. "What if she doesn't want me?" Emma asked, voicing the fear that had been growing in her mind. "What if she can't take care of me? What if she thinks I'm too much trouble?" Kate pulled Emma down onto the sofa beside her. "Emma, listen to me. From everything you've told us about your aunt, she loved you very much. She's probably been worried sick about you ever since she heard about the accident. I bet she's been trying to find you too. But what if social services won't let her have me now that I've run away?" Emma continued. "What if they say I'm too difficult to handle?" William leaned forward. "Emma, we're not going to let that happen. If we can find your aunt and if she wants to take care of you, we'll help make sure it happens properly. Kate and I have been talking, and we've decided that we'll support you through this process, whatever it takes." The next morning, William called the hospital. After being transferred several times, he finally reached the children's ward. "I'm trying to locate Sarah Patterson," he explained to the receptionist. "I have some important family news to share with her." "I'm sorry, but Sarah Patterson Mills isn't working today," the receptionist said. "She'll be back tomorrow morning. Can I take a message?" William's heart jumped. Patterson Mills. That explained why their earlier searches had been so difficult. Sarah had gotten married and changed her name. "This is regarding her niece, Emma Patterson," William said carefully. "It's quite urgent. Could you possibly give me a number where I could reach her today?" There was a pause. "I'm not supposed to give out personal information," the receptionist said. "But if this is about Emma Patterson, I think Sarah would want to know immediately. She's been calling here regularly asking if anyone had heard anything about a missing girl named Emma. Hold on. Let me see what I can do." William's hands were shaking as he waited. Emma and Kate stood nearby, watching his face for any sign of good or bad news. Finally, the receptionist came back on the line. "I've spoken to my supervisor," she said. "Given the circumstances, I'm going to give you Sarah's mobile number, but I'm also going to call her myself to let her know that someone is trying to reach her about Emma. Her number is—" William wrote down the number with trembling fingers. As soon as he hung up with the hospital, he looked at Emma. "She's been looking for you," he said softly. "Your aunt has been calling the hospital regularly asking about you. She knows you're missing and she's been trying to find you." Emma burst into tears, not tears of sadness but tears of relief and joy. For the first time in weeks, she had hoped that her nightmare might finally be coming to an end. Kate wrapped her arms around Emma while William dialed Sarah's number. His heart was pounding as he listened to the phone ring. After 3 rings, a woman's voice answered. "Hello, Sarah Patterson Mills speaking." "Ms. Patterson Mills, my name is William Thompson. I'm calling about your niece, Emma Patterson. She's been staying with my wife and me for the past few days, and she's very eager to speak with you." There was complete silence on the other end of the line for several seconds, then William heard what sounded like a sob. "Emma?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "You found Emma? Is she okay? Is she hurt?" "Oh my God, I've been looking everywhere for her. The police said she ran away from care and I've been going out of my mind with worry." "She's fine," William assured her quickly. "She's safe and healthy. She broke into our house looking for shelter and we've been taking care of her while helping her try to find you. She's right here if you'd like to speak to her." William handed the phone to Emma, whose hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold it. "Aunt Sarah?" Emma whispered into the phone. The sound that came through the speaker was definitely crying now. "Emma." "Oh, sweetheart, I've been so worried about you. Where have you been? Are you really okay?" "I'm okay," Emma managed to say through her own tears. "I've been looking for you everywhere. I didn't know your new address and I was scared to ask anyone for help." "I'm coming to get you right now," Sarah said firmly. "Where are you? I'll drive there immediately." William took the phone back and gave Sarah their address. She promised to be there within 2 hours. As they waited, Emma couldn't sit still. She kept looking out the window, watching for a car she wouldn't even recognize. Kate made tea and sandwiches, knowing that this might be their last afternoon with Emma. The thought filled her with mixed emotions, joy that Emma would be reunited with her family, but sadness that their brief time together was ending. In just a few days, Emma had become the daughter she and William had never had. Sarah arrived exactly 1 hour and 53 minutes later, driving a blue sedan with Liverpool Hospital parking stickers on the windshield. Emma had been watching from the living room window and saw the car pull up before Sarah had even turned. "Off the engine! She's here!" Emma shouted, running toward the front door. But then she stopped suddenly, her hand on the doorknob. "What if she's changed? What if she doesn't really want me?" Kate placed a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. "Sweetheart, she drove here as fast as she could. That tells you everything you need to know about how much she wants you." William opened the front door just as Sarah was hurrying up the walkway. She was a tall woman in her 30s with dark brown hair and kind eyes that were red from crying. She looked so much like Emma's mother that Emma gasped when she saw her. "Emma," Sarah breathed, and then they were both running toward each other. The reunion was everything William and Kate had hoped it would be. Sarah scooped Emma up in her arms, both of them crying and laughing at the same time. They held each other for several long minutes, neither willing to let go. "I thought I'd lost you forever," Sarah whispered into Emma's hair. "When I heard about your parents, I tried to get custody of you immediately. But the paperwork takes time. By the time I got through all the legal requirements, they told me you'd run away. I've been driving around looking for you every day after work. I didn't know how to find you," Emma sobbed. "I only knew you lived near Liverpool and worked at a hospital. I tried asking at different hospitals, but they wouldn't tell me anything." Sarah pulled back to look at Emma's face, checking for signs of injury or illness. "You're so thin," she said with concern. "And you look exhausted. Have you been eating? Where have you been sleeping?" Emma glanced back at William and Kate, who had been watching from the doorway. "These people saved me," she said. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. I broke into their house looking for somewhere warm to sleep, and instead of calling the police, they took care of me. They helped me find you." Sarah looked at William and Kate with tears streaming down her face. "How can I ever thank you?" she asked. "You could have called social services immediately, but instead you kept her safe and helped her find me. I don't even know how to begin to repay you." "There's nothing to repay," Kate said softly. "Emma needed help, and we were able to provide it. Any decent person would have done the same thing." But Sarah shook her head. "No, that's not true. Most people would have called the authorities immediately. You took a huge risk keeping her with you, and you went out of your way to help her find me. You gave me back my niece." They all went inside, where Sarah sat with Emma on the sofa, still holding her tightly as if she might disappear again. Through conversation, they learned that Sarah had been married for 2 years to a man named Robert Mills, who worked as a paramedic. They lived in a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs of Liverpool, and Robert was eager to meet Emma. "I've told him so much about you over the years," Sarah explained to Emma. "He's been helping me search for you every weekend. He even took time off work to drive around different towns asking if anyone had seen you." Sarah also explained the legal situation. "I've already started the formal process to become your guardian," she said. "The paperwork was nearly complete when you disappeared. Now that we've found you, we can finish everything properly. But Emma, you can never run away like that again. I understand why you did it, but I was terrified something terrible had happened to you." Emma nodded, clearly ashamed of the worry she had caused. "I was just so scared of being put in a home with strangers. I thought if I could just find you, myself, everything would be okay." "I understand," Sarah said gently. "But next time, trust that the adults who love you will figure out a way to make things work. I would never have let you be placed anywhere permanently while I was trying to get custody of you." As the afternoon wore on, practical arrangements needed to be made. Sarah wanted to take Emma home immediately, but there were legal considerations to think about. Emma had been reported as a missing person, and there would need to be official notifications that she had been found safe. "We should probably contact the police first," William suggested. "Let them know that Emma is safe and that she's with her family. That way there won't be any complications later." Sarah agreed, though she was clearly reluctant to involve any authorities. Like Emma, she was worried that bureaucracy might somehow interfere with their reunion. But William was right. They needed to handle everything properly to avoid problems down the line. The police were surprisingly understanding when they arrived. The officers were relieved to find Emma safe and healthy, and they could see immediately that Sarah was genuinely her aunt. The family resemblance was unmistakable, and Sarah had brought photo albums and legal documents proving their relationship. "We'll need to notify social services that Emma has been found," one of the officers explained. "But given that Ms. Patterson Mills is already in the process of obtaining legal guardianship, and that Emma is clearly safe and well cared for, I don't anticipate any problems." The officer also spoke privately with William and Kate, asking about Emma's condition when they found her, and how they had cared for her. "You did the right thing," he assured them. "In situations like this, the child's safety and well-being are the most important considerations. You kept her safe and helped reunite her with her family. That's exactly what we hope people will do." As evening approached, It became clear that Emma would be going home with Sarah that night. Kate helped her pack the few belongings she had accumulated during her stay, mostly the new clothes Kate had bought for her. "I want you to keep this," Emma said, handing Kate a small drawing she had made during one of their quiet afternoons together. It showed 3 figures standing in front of a house: William, Kate, and Emma herself. At the top she had written, "My guardian angels," in careful lettering. Kate's eyes filled with tears as she looked at the drawing. "This is beautiful, Emma. I'll treasure it always." Emma hugged both William and Kate goodbye, promising to write letters and visit whenever she could. "You saved my life," she told them seriously. "I was getting so weak and cold out there. I don't think I could have survived much longer." Sarah echoed Emma's gratitude. "I mean it when I say I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You've given me back the most precious thing in my life. Emma is all I have left of my sister, and she means everything to me." As they loaded Emma's few belongings into Sarah's car, William felt a profound sadness settling over him. The house was going to feel very empty without Emma's presence. In just a few days, she had brought an energy and purpose to their lives that they hadn't realized they were missing. Kate stood beside him as they watched Sarah's car disappear down Maple Street. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked, quietly. "We did the only thing we could do," William replied, putting his arm around his wife's shoulders. "Emma needed help, and we were able to provide it. Now she's with her family where she belongs." But even as he spoke the words, William couldn't shake the feeling that their involvement in Emma's story wasn't over yet. Something about the situation felt unfinished, though he couldn't put his finger on what it was. That night, as they sat in their quiet living room, Kate picked up the drawing Emma had given her. "Guardian angels," she read aloud. "Do you think that's really what we were?" William considered the question seriously. "I think we were just in the right place at the right time," he said. "Emma needed help, and we were able to provide it. Sometimes that's all it takes to change someone's life." Neither of them could have predicted that their own lives were about to change just as dramatically. 3 weeks passed after Emma left with her Aunt Sarah. William and Kate tried to return to their normal routines, but something fundamental had changed in their quiet household. The spare bedroom, now empty again, seemed to echo with Emma's presence. Kate found herself setting 3 places at the table out of habit, then removing the extra plate with a sad smile. Emma kept her promise to write letters. Her first letter arrived just 5 days after she left, filled with excitement about her new life with Sarah and Robert. She described their house, their 2 dogs, and how Robert was teaching her to play chess. She was enrolled in a new school and had already made friends with a girl named Lucy who lived next door. "Robert says I can call him Uncle Robert if I want to," Emma wrote in her careful handwriting. "And Aunt Sarah is talking about redecorating the spare bedroom so it can be my room properly. She wants me to pick out the colors and everything." William and Kate smiled as they read the letter together, genuinely happy that Emma was settling in well. But there was also a bittersweet quality to her words that reminded them how brief their time with her had been. Emma's second letter, which arrived the following week, had a different tone. She was still happy and grateful for her new life, but she also expressed how much she missed William and Kate. "I keep thinking about our talks in the kitchen," she wrote, "and how safe I felt sleeping in your house. Aunt Sarah is wonderful, and Uncle Robert is really nice too, but you 2 were the first people who helped me when I had nothing. I'll never forget that." Kate dabbed at her eyes as she finished reading. "She's such a special girl," she said to William. "I hope she knows she can always come to us if she needs anything." On a rainy Thursday evening in November, their phone rang just as they were finishing dinner. It was Sarah, and she sounded distressed. "I'm so sorry to bother you," Sarah said quickly, "but I didn't know who else to call. Emma has been having nightmares almost every night since she came to live with us. She wakes up screaming, saying she's back on the streets and can't find anywhere safe to sleep. I've talked to her doctor about it, and he says it's probably trauma from everything she went through." Kate felt her heart clench with sympathy. "Oh, the poor darling. What can we do to help?" "This might sound like a strange request," Sarah continued, "but Emma keeps asking to talk to you and Kate. She says you're the only people who understand what it was like when she was homeless. The doctor thinks it might help her process her trauma if she could speak to you about those experiences." William and Kate exchanged glances. "Of course," Kate said immediately. "We'd be happy to talk to her any time. Should we come visit, or would you prefer to bring her here?" "Actually," Sarah said, her voice hesitant, "I was wondering if she could spend a weekend with you. I know it's a lot to ask, and I understand if you can't do it. But she feels so safe with you both. The doctor thinks being back in the environment where she first felt secure might help her work through some of her fears." Without hesitation, William took the phone. "Sarah, of course Emma can come stay with us. This weekend, next weekend, whenever. Works best for her. She's always welcome in our home." The relief in Sarah's voice was obvious. "Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Emma has been so anxious, and nothing Robert and I do seems to help. But when she talks about the time she spent with you, she lights up." They arranged for Emma to come the following weekend. Sarah would drive her over on Friday evening and pick her up Sunday afternoon. As they made plans, Sarah shared more about Emma's struggles. "She's doing well during the day," Sarah explained. "School is going well, she's making friends, and she seems genuinely happy most of the time. But at night, it's like all her fears come flooding back. She checks the locks on the doors and windows multiple times before bed, and she keeps a small bag of clothes and snacks under her bed, as if she's ready to run away again at any moment." Kate's heart ached hearing this. The poor child has been through so much. It's completely understandable that she would have anxiety about feeling safe. When Friday evening arrived, William and Kate had prepared Emma's room exactly as it had been during her previous stay. Kate had even bought the same type of biscuits they had shared during their afternoon tea times. They were both nervous and excited to see Emma again. Sarah's car pulled up at exactly 6 o'clock, and Emma jumped out before it had even come to a complete stop. She ran up the walkway and straight into Kate's arms, hugging her tightly. "I missed you so much," Emma said, her voice muffled against Kate's shoulder. "We missed you too, sweetheart," Kate replied, stroking Emma's hair. "We're so happy you're here." Emma looked healthier than she had when she left 3 weeks earlier. She had gained some weight, her hair was shiny and well cut, and she was wearing a beautiful new coat that Sarah had bought for her. But when William looked closely at her eyes, he could see the shadows of anxiety that Sarah had described. Sarah came up the walkway carrying Emma's small suitcase. "She's been talking about this visit all week," she said with a smile. "I think she packed and repacked her bag 5 times. They all went inside for tea, and Sarah spent some time talking with William and Kate about Emma's progress. The formal guardianship paperwork had been finalized, so Emma was now officially Sarah's ward. She was seeing a counselor once a week to help her process the trauma of losing her parents and living on the streets. "The counselor says that Emma associates your house with safety," Sarah explained. "It was the first place she felt secure after weeks of being afraid and homeless. She thinks that spending time here might help Emma realize that she can feel that same security in other places too." When it was time for Sarah to leave, Emma walked her to the car but didn't seem upset about the goodbye. She was clearly excited to be back in the place where she had first found refuge. That evening, as they sat in the familiar living room, Emma opened up about her experiences in ways she hadn't been able to before. "I have dreams about being cold," she told them quietly. "Not just regular cold, but that bone-deep cold when you've been outside for days and you can't get warm no matter what you do. And in the dreams, I can't find anywhere safe to sleep. Every door I try is locked and people keep telling me to go away." Kate moved closer to Emma on the sofa. "Those dreams must be terrifying." "They are," Emma nodded. "But the strange thing is, in the dreams, I always remember this house. I remember the warm kitchen and how safe I felt sleeping in the spare bedroom. Sometimes I dream that I'm trying to get back here, but I can't find the way." William leaned forward. "Emma, do you think the dreams might be your mind's way of processing everything you went through? You experienced something very frightening, but you also found safety and help. Maybe your brain is trying to sort through those experiences." Emma considered this thoughtfully. "Maybe. The counselor says something similar. She says it's normal for people to have scary dreams after they've been through trauma. Over the weekend, Emma seemed to gradually relax. She slept through both nights without nightmares, ate well, and spent hours talking with William and Kate about everything from her new school to her favorite books. But she also asked deeper questions about their decision to help her rather than immediately calling the authorities. "Why did you let me stay?" she asked on Saturday afternoon as they worked together in the garden. Most people would have been scared to have a strange kid in their house. William paused in his weeding. "I think when we saw how frightened and desperate you were, our instinct was to help rather than to protect ourselves. You were just a child who needed safety, and we were in a position to provide it." "But weren't you worried I might be dangerous or lying about my situation?" Kate looked up from the roses she was pruning. "Emma, you have to understand something. The moment we saw you, it was obvious that you were a child in trouble. You were thin, scared, and clearly hadn't been taking care of yourself properly. Our parental instincts kicked in even though we're not parents." Emma smiled at this. "I'm glad they did. If you had called social services right away, I probably would have run off before they arrived. Then I might never have found Aunt Sarah." On Sunday morning, Emma helped Kate make breakfast while William read the newspaper. It felt natural and comfortable, like they were a family that had been together for years rather than people who had known each other for less than a month total. "I want to ask you something," Emma said as she set the table. "And I want you to be completely honest with me." Kate and William exchanged glances, wondering what serious question was coming. "Do you think I could come visit you sometimes, even after I don't need help anymore? Like, when I'm older and everything is settled with Aunt Sarah? Could we still be friends?" Kate's eyes immediately filled with tears. "Oh, Emma, of course you can visit us. We would love nothing more than to stay in your life as you grow up. You're not just someone we helped. You're someone we care about very much." William nodded emphatically. "Emma, helping you was one of the best things that has ever happened to Kate and me. You brought something into our lives that we didn't even know was missing." When Sarah arrived to pick Emma up that afternoon, the change in Emma was obvious. She seemed calmer, more settled, and genuinely excited to go home with her aunt. "The nightmares might come back," Emma told William and Kate as she hugged them goodbye. "But now I remember that there are safe places and people who help. That makes the scary feelings less powerful." As they watched Sarah's car disappear down Maple Street once again, William and Kate felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had not only helped Emma find her family, but they had also helped her begin to heal from her trauma. "You know," Kate said, taking William's hand, "I think Emma helped us as much as we helped her." William squeezed her hand gently. "What do you mean?" "We spent so many years thinking our life was complete, just the two of us. But having Emma here, even briefly, showed us how much love we have to give. It's opened up possibilities I hadn't considered in years." William knew exactly what she meant. Their quiet, predictable life had been comfortable, but it had also been somewhat empty. Emma had shown them that they had the capacity to make a real difference in someone's life, and that realization was changing how they thought about their future. 6 months later, on a warm spring evening in May, William opened the front door to find Emma standing on their doorstep with a huge smile on her face. But she wasn't alone. Sarah was behind her, and beside Sarah stood a tall man with kind eyes who could only be Robert, and another woman holding the hand of a small boy who looked to be about 8 years old. "Surprise," Emma called out, laughing at the shocked expressions on William and Kate's faces. "We wanted to tell you in person." Kate appeared at William's shoulder, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Emma, what a wonderful surprise. And you must be Robert," she said, extending her hand to Sarah's husband. "We've heard so much about you. And this is my cousin Jamie, and his mom Linda," Emma said, indicating the woman and little boy. "They're Sarah's family from Scotland, and they're moving to Liverpool next month. Jamie's dad died last year, and Linda has been struggling on her own." William and Kate invited everyone inside, their minds racing to understand what was happening. As they settled in the living room, Sarah took Emma's hand and smiled at William and Kate. "Emma has something she wants to ask you," Sarah said gently. "Something we've all discussed at length, and we think it's a wonderful idea." Emma took a deep breath, suddenly looking nervous despite her earlier excitement. "You know how I told you that helping me made you realize how much love you had to give?" Kate nodded, remembering their conversation months earlier. "Well, Emma," continued, "Linda and Jamie are in a situation kind of like I was. Not exactly the same, but they need help getting back on their feet. Linda's been trying to find work and a decent place to live, but it's been really hard doing it all alone." Linda, a quiet woman with tired eyes but a gentle smile, spoke up. "I hope Emma isn't being too presumptuous. She told us about how you helped her, and she thought maybe—" She trailed off, looking embarrassed. "What Emma is asking," Robert said kindly, "is whether you might consider letting Linda and Jamie stay with you temporarily, just until Linda can get established in Liverpool. Maybe a month or two, just to give them a stable base while she looks for work and finds a proper place to live." William and Kate looked at each other in amazement. After all these months of thinking their involvement in Emma's story was complete, here they were being asked to help again. "Linda is a qualified bookkeeper," Sarah added. "She's already had 2 job interviews at firms in Liverpool and both went well. She just needs somewhere safe and stable to stay while she gets everything sorted out." Jamie, who had been quiet throughout this conversation, suddenly looked up at William with wide, curious eyes. "Emma says you have a really big garden, and that Mrs. Kate makes the best tea in the world." Despite the serious nature of the conversation, everyone laughed at Jamie's earnest statement. Kate knelt down to Jamie's level. "Well, I don't know about the best tea in the world, but I do make pretty good biscuits to go with it." Emma was practically bouncing with excitement. "I know it's a lot to ask, but you have that big spare bedroom, and Linda could help with cooking and cleaning. And Jamie is really good at being quiet when grown-ups need to talk. And it would only be temporary, just until they find their own place." William felt the same stirring in his chest that he had experienced when they first found Emma in their storage room. Here was another opportunity to make a real difference in someone's life, to provide safety and stability when it was desperately needed. Kate was thinking the same thing. Looking at Jamie's hopeful face and Linda's quiet desperation, she remembered how Emma had looked that first morning, frightened, vulnerable, and in need of kindness. "Of course you can stay with us," Kate said without hesitation. "Both of you for as long as you need to." Linda's eyes immediately filled with tears. "Are you sure? I know it's a huge imposition, and we're complete strangers to you." "You're not strangers," William said firmly. "You're Emma's family, which makes you our family too. And even if you weren't, anyone who needs help is welcome in our home." Jamie jumped up and down excitedly. "Can I see the garden now? Emma said there are roses and maybe a place where I could plant vegetables." As the adults continued talking about practical arrangements, Jamie dragged Emma outside to explore the garden. Through the window, William and Kate could see Emma showing Jamie around like a proud older sister, pointing out all the best spots and explaining how William had taught her to prune the rose bushes. "I can't believe she orchestrated all of this," Kate said with amazement. "She's turned into quite the little matchmaker." Sarah smiled. "Emma has changed so much over these past months. She's more confident, more secure, and she's developed this incredible desire to help other people the way you helped her. When she heard about Linda's situation, she immediately thought of you too." Over the next hour, they worked out all the details. Linda and Jamie would move in the following weekend. Linda already had a car, so transportation wouldn't be an issue, and she had enough savings to cover her expenses for a few months while she looked for work. She just needed a stable address and a safe place for Jamie to stay. "I want to pay rent," Linda insisted. "I won't be a charity case. I can contribute to groceries and utilities, and I'm happy to help with housework and cooking." "We'll figure out something fair," William agreed. "But Linda, please understand that our main concern is making sure you and Jamie have what you need to get back on your feet. We're not doing this for money." As evening fell and it was time for everyone to leave, Emma pulled William and Kate aside for a private conversation. "I need to tell you something," she said seriously. "When I was living on the streets, I used to dream about having a real family again. Not just Aunt Sarah, though I love her so much, but a bigger family with lots of people who care about each other. Kate knelt down to Emma's level. And now you have that, don't you? Sarah and Robert and soon Linda and Jamie. Yes, Emma said. But I also have you and William. You're like my bonus parents, the people who saved me when I had nothing. And now Linda and Jamie get to have that too. William felt tears pricking his eyes. Emma, having you in our lives has been the greatest gift we could have asked for. You've shown us that our house isn't just a place where two people live quietly. It's a place where we can make a real difference. Emma hugged them both tightly. I love you both so much. Not like I love Aunt Sarah and Uncle Robert, but in a different way. Like you're my guardian angels who are also my friends. A week later, Linda and Jamie moved into the spare bedroom that had housed Emma months earlier. Jamie was a delightful child, curious, polite, and endlessly fascinated by everything in William and Kate's house. Linda was quiet and grateful, working hard to pull her weight around the house while spending her days job hunting. Within 3 weeks, Linda had landed a position as a bookkeeper at a mid-sized accounting firm in Liverpool. The salary was good, and the company offered excellent benefits. She was able to enroll Jamie in a local school where he quickly made friends. But something unexpected happened during those first few weeks. Instead of feeling like temporary house guests, Linda and Jamie began to feel like family. Jamie would help William in the garden every evening, chattering constantly about his day at school. Linda turned out to be an excellent cook, and she and Kate developed a comfortable routine of sharing kitchen duties and evening conversations. Emma visited every few weeks, delighted to see how well her plan was working. She had grown taller and more confident, and her nightmares had almost completely stopped. But more than that, she had developed a keen awareness of people who needed help, and a determination to connect them with people who could provide it. You know what I want to do when I grow up? Emma announced during one of her visits as they all sat around the dinner table, William, Kate, Linda, Jamie, and Emma herself. What's that, sweetheart? Kate asked. I want to work for an organization that helps families who are in trouble. Kids who are homeless or parents who can't find work or families who just need someone to help them get back on their feet. I want to be like you and William, but as my job. William smiled across the table at his wife. Emma's dream was beautiful, and knowing her determination and compassion, he had no doubt she would achieve it.